It's Degrassi Hun, the podcast where your host, Marie, will recap every single episode of Degrassi from Degrassi Junior High to Degrassi Next Class. Today, we are recapping Season 1, Episode 2 of Degrassi Junior High, entitled The Big Dance. This episode covers a bunch of fun topics, including lying to your parents, underage drinking, and the notion that selling a couple dozen $1 tickets for a school dance is enough to sponsor a foster child for an entire year. Anyway, stay tuned for a tale of my very first school dance horror story and how waterproof mascara is an absolute must for 13-year-old girls with social anxiety. We start off the episode with our queen, Voula. It's after school at her house, and her father is reading the latest edition of the Degrassi Digest, the very newspaper in which Voula is both a writer and editor-in-chief. We love a smart queen. As he looks through the pages, he sees news that Degrassi will be having their very first school dance of the semester, and it's coming up this Saturday. He looks at Voula and he's like, "Oh no, honey, you will not be in attendance. You are too young and these boys might try something funky." And Voula isn't, too happy to hear this. She wants to go to the dance. She wants to have fun with her friends. I personally have never related to the overbearing, overprotective parenting style. I never had the, no, you can't go there because boys will be there, or, hey, take off that makeup, you're too young. Like, sure, my parents were strict in some ways, like, make sure you're in bed at a reasonable time and let me know if you have plans after school that'll make you late coming home. But other than that, I was really encouraged to join clubs and go to school dances. Now that I think about it, that maybe because my parents were so desperate for me to make a friend, they would be like, "Yes, honey, go, leave this house." I mean, I was so introverted as a child. I still am, but I think they've pretty much grown to understand that I would just prefer to be alone in my room, binge watching Degrassi for the 7th time. After the intro, it is a brand new day at Degrassi Junior High, and we see Voula meet up with Heather and Erica, our Degrassi twins. We have Heather and Erica Farrell portrayed by Maureen and Angela Deseach, I think. This is a very weird last name. Both girls acted in the Degrassi series up until Degrassi Junior High and even had some small parts in Degrassi The Next Generation, just for a few episodes in the early reunion episodes when everyone from the original series was kind of, being in the show saying, "Hey, I'm still here. This is still my show." Yeah, but other than that, that pretty much covers their involvement with Degrassi. And after that, Angela, who plays Erica, she still acted in some small community productions, but what I found really cool about her is that she is an accomplished flamenco dancer. I wish in some way they incorporated flamenco dancing into the series, but if Sis was just like coming straight from the set of Degrassi to becoming a renowned, celebrated flamenco dancer, I would have loved to see that. She even has a small role in the short film Flamenco, which is about a young flamenco dancer who is kind of an outsider to the rest of the dance crew, and she becomes even more isolated from everyone else when a love triangle forms between the three protagonists. At the end of the film, she makes an irredeemable mistake, and this furthers the theme of lust and obsession. I love seeing that trope in movies like The Obsessed Dancer, or The Obsessed Artist. I mean, it's kind of like Margot Robbie and I, Tonya. I love that. That's, I don't know. It just gives me chills. But I highly recommend watching this movie. It's a bit hard to find online, but you can find it. It's only 12 minutes long, and you get to see a tiny glimpse of grown-up Erica. She's in the background, though, but it's still cute. We still love her. Now, moving on to Maureen, who plays Heather. There is not much known about her life after Degrassi, other than attending some conventions, Degrassi conventions, as a guest speaker. She's chosen to live a pretty private life. I do believe that I read in a comment on one of her wiki pages that she was a school teacher, either now or at some point. but I haven't had that verified yet. Well, back to the scene, we see the three girls, Voula, Heather, and Erica, talking about the big dance on Saturday when Steph walks over to them and tries to make amends with Voula for her actions in the previous episode. Voula is not here for it, though. She storms away from Steph right after mocking her for an unearned position as school prez. And then Steph has the nerve, the audacity to call Voula immature. Like, okay, girl, as if you didn't fucking forget your entire friend and think Joey Jeremiah instead. So we follow Steph into the bathroom, and as we see her undressing from her very ugly clothing into her less ugly clothing, we meet Lucy Fernandez for the first time, our queen Lucy. Miss Fernandez is portrayed by Anais Granovsky, and much like the twins, Anais went on to star in Degrassi High and had some small appearances in Degrassi The Next Generation up until the second season, I believe. After her appearance in Degrassi High, Anais went on to pursue a degree in filmmaking from NYU and even directed an episode of Degrassi The Next Generation called Don't Believe the Hype. I believe it's the episode where Hazel kind of shares with everyone her true culture instead of just lying to everyone and telling everyone that she's Jamaican. Anais has had many other appearances in film and TV, such as the Loretta Claiborne story, Goosebumps, and Soul Food, so sis has been booked and busy. In 1999, she co-founded Have Mercy Pictures, which in hindsight may have not been the best name for a production company, because during my research, I Googled Have Mercy Pictures, and all you get is just a bunch of Bible verses, like not a trace of Miss Anais anywhere. Going back to the episode, Lucy is wondering why Steph does not change at home, and Steph has to explain that her mother would never approve of her clothing. Here lies our first instance of a character lying to their parent in this episode, because this episode is just full of dishonesty. Steph lies to her mother about the clothes she wears in school, and most likely lies about the kind of character she is at school as well. Of course, this is further explored in future episodes, but as of right now, all we can assume is that Steph at school and Steph at home are complete opposites. Lucy, not having strict parents herself, brags to Steph that because her parents are always on business trips, she can pretty much do whatever she wants. Like, this girl can go wherever she wants, go out with whoever she wants, she can wear wherever she wants. They even let her wear makeup, which in 8th grade is the hugest deal. Like, even if your makeup looks horrible, like caked on, so shitty, like, it just makes you seem so much more mature. And obviously, like, oh, that person's wearing makeup, she must have like super cool parents, I want to be her friend. So following this conversation, we go to see Joey, and he's going up to Wheels in the hallway to talk about the big dance. This big dance is very much a hot topic. Joey says he's planning on asking out Steph, but what he doesn't know is that Steph is planning on asking Wheels. So we have like a tiny little love triangle, which kind of confused me because Steph was all up on Joey in the last episode, and now she wants to go to the dance with the guy who looked down her shirt in the middle of the whole school. Girl, do better, but I guess this is a good thing since you can see both Steph and Wheels smiling at each other in the hallway. And a girl is allowed to change her mind. I will not judge her for that. Wheels has a much bigger role in this episode, so I felt like I should get into the actor's background now rather than in episode 1, where he wasn't painted in the best light. A little bit of a creepy perv, but you know, who isn't? So Wheels, or Derek Wheeler, was portrayed by the late Neil Hope, who unfortunately passed away in November of 2007 at age 35. After his appearances in both Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High, he acted in 2 episodes of Degrassi The Next Generation very, very early on in the series. His character was going through a mini redemption arc for his actions during Degrassi Schools Out, the TV movie following the summer after Degrassi High. After these appearances, he lived a rather private life, doing the occasional Degrassi throwback interview or Degrassi convention appearance. So, very quiet life, very docile. I love. So, while all the 8th grade kiddies are in class, we learn that Degrassi will be sponsoring and hosting a foster child, and they need to find some way to raise the money. Lucy suggests that everyone gets charged $1 for their dance ticket as a way to raise the money, but of course, you have to get approval from the student body president, so she turns to Steph, who is clearly and obviously distracted by Wheels, and asks for her approval. Steph gives a, yeah, sure, whatever, but I guess that's all we need from her to get this fundraiser started. I wish that was an acceptable way to answer all questions. Like, hey, do you want pizza tonight? Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, sure, whatever. But no, that's seen as rude. But I guess not in this case. Okay, so I did a couple of quick calculations because I wasn't sure a couple dozen $1 donations would be enough money to support a child for an entire year, foster or not. So according to research done by Erica Alini, a writer for globalnews.ca, the average cost of raising a child in Canada is about $139,000 in 1987 dollars for all 18 years of their life. I should clarify. 139,000 for all the 18 years that they are legally a child. I promise I graduated from high school. I have an associate's degree. I know how to read numbers. So if they're sponsoring this child for just 1 year out of 18 years, then that would leave about $7,700 being the average cost of raising a child in Canada for 1 year in 1987. Now, I don't know about anyone else watching this episode, but I personally only saw about 30 entire children at this dance, and with the tickets costing $1 each, I find it a little hard to believe that these little 12-year-olds managed to dig into their sticky little pockets and scrounge up the remaining coin for this foster child that we do not meet this episode. So this mystery foster child, like, I'm pretty sure that big ass cardboard check that they present at the end of the dance costs $30 itself. I googled it. It does. So I know this is not a major plot line for this episode at all, but it confused the fuck out of me and I need answers. Moving on, Voula remembers that she does not have permission to attend the dance and suggests that Steph should present the check to the association, the Foster Association, instead of her, even though it was, her idea. Surprisingly, Steph is up for the challenge. In last episode, she said she wanted to take her presidency seriously, so her confidence in her position as president, I guess, is surprising, but at the same time, it's expected. But actions speak louder than words, so I guess we'll see how she handles this commitment. She doesn't. But yay for Steph for now, in the beginning of the episode, yay for Steph. Lucy, however, is not here for Steph presenting the check. She calls Steph a broomhead, like brother, like sister, I guess, and explains that Voula should present the check since she is much more responsible and the fundraiser was her idea in the first place. Voula once again has to explain that she would love to present the check if it weren't for her father telling her she was not allowed to attend the dance. This is such an odd but also very common friendship pairing in a lot of movies and TV. We have the one friend who has super strict parents and can't do anything with their mom or dad breathing down their necks. And then we have the friend whose parents are just as wild as their kid and they let them go to parties, have friends over, wear makeup, do drugs. One major example I can think of that isn't quite the doing drugs and acting all crazy, but still one example of this pairing I can think of is Tracy Turnblad and Penny Pingleton. That pairing from Hairspray, which is one of my favorite musicals ever. Oh my god, I love it so much. The 2007 film version is the best one. Do not at me. But this kind of friendship pairing is also so fun. Is always so fun for me. I love seeing the wild child get more serious and grounded while the closed off kid gets more rebellious. And in the same scene, we see Voula enter her very first step into her rebellious phase. She sees Lucy applying some lipstick and then applies that same lipstick to herself. And despite that being disgusting, Voula is finally stepping out of her shell. She's got a little makeup on her and she feels great. I mean, a bit of makeup can make any young kid feel so good about themselves. I remember when I was in maybe 8th or ninth grade, and every day I would wear the same bright ass red lipstick with no other kind of makeup on my face. Like, no mascara, no eyeliner, no foundation, no nothing. Just bare face from forehead to nose, and then boom, some bright red lips. It probably looks so bad, I'm not gonna lie, but I felt so pretty, and no one was gonna tell me that I didn't look good. So, Voula girl, you put on that lipstick and you live your fantasy. Now, Miss Voula, you have to remember that if you're going to act different and dress different in school, you need to follow Steph's lead and cover up any trace of your bad bitch alter ego when you go home. Voula is supposed to be our intelligent goddess, but going home with that lipstick on her face was so dumb. Like, girl, of course your father wasn't going to approve. And he doesn't approve. He tells her that she's just a little girl and she's too young for makeup, and he gives her a handkerchief and he's like, take that off right now. I cannot even force myself to see where her father is coming from. Of course, Voula is a beautiful girl that I'm sure anyone would be, any young, person her age would be attracted to her. But it's not like boys will be foaming at the mouth because her lips are more red than usual. I do not think that will be the case. And Voula, determined to become a pretty little liar, comes up with some ruse that will ensure she gets to the dance so she can hang out with her friends and also present the check to the Foster Association. Sure, that too, but mostly to hang out with friends and be a normal kid. These are very innocent little goals that Voula has, and honestly, a talk with her father could have helped. Maybe explaining the purpose of the dance and why she has to be in attendance could have helped her case a bit. Even if her father only allowed her to go out and present the check and then leave immediately, she still could have did what she needed to do and maybe peep her friends along the way. A little hi, a little hey, how's it going? He could have even stood there and chaperoned for the 5 minutes that they would be there. But no, she decided to make up some lie about her being in a council meeting the same time as the dance. So in the end, this makes her seem irresponsible and untrustworthy. Just like the girl who she defriended last episode. Is Voula turning into a young Steph? More on that later. It is a new day at Degrassi, and Steph finally asks Wheels out to the dance. We love a modern woman. Wheels is so happy. He says he would love to go with her. And we can see Joey storming out of the hallway when this happens, clearly jealous of Steph and Wheels' date. I just wish this was more explored in the episode. It kind of ends here, that whole jealousy storyline, which is a little disappointing. I would have loved to see Joey planning some kind of sabotage for the date, but then seeing how much of a mess Steph is herself, later on in the episode, he would have let it go and let Steph ruin the date herself. That way, not too much plot has to change, but it would have made Steph choosing Wheels over Joey a more dramatic choice. And now it kind of seems like his devotion, Joey's devotion to Steph in the episode prior was kind of pointless. As Steph is getting ready for the dance back at home, she has on her typical long skirt and long pants while she packs another outfit into a bag. This is a silent reminder that her mother is not aware of the way Stephanie behaves and dresses at school. Voula also has a little bag in her hand while she's at her house, and it contains her dance clothes while she leaves the house in some normal school appropriate clothing. So despite these two having a fallout in the episode before, Voula is already becoming more and more like Stephanie with these rebellious little tricks and moves that she's doing. Her father reminds her, Voula's father, reminds her to be home by 9:30 or he's coming to the school, and we cannot have that happen or he'll see the school dance and Voula will get in trouble. So 9:30 is her curfew. We got to keep that in mind. Voula has to keep that in mind. I can't do anything about it. As Voula arrives at the dance, she meets up with some friends, and enters the building. She changes her outfit into this long black skirt and this gray blouse that has ruffles on the sleeves, and she looks super cute. I love this outfit. I love like a gray kind of low cut blouse with funky little sleeves, like designs on the sleeves. I don't know. I love to show you my shoulders and watch the ruffles move around. It's so cute. Um, and as she's walking into the dance, stunting on everyone, she walks over to a table and she sits next to Caitlin, guys. And I love Caitlin. She is one of my favorite Degrassi characters ever. I love her so much. I just want to give her a big hug. And seeing her walking around makes me so happy. Just seeing her vibe, not yet having any drama, just living her little Caitlin life. It makes me smile. So far, Voula, oh yeah, we're talking about Voula. So far, Voula looks like she's having a pretty good time. Now, I've never had any fun at any school dances. Okay, that's a little extreme. I've never had like an overall great time at a school dance. Sure, I've had some fun moments, but all my school dance experiences have been unfortunate, all two of them. During my 8th grade semi-formal, I had a panic attack in the bathroom because of the crowdedness and the loud music and just everyone kind of saying, hey, come dance with us, and hey, we're gonna do this crazy dance over here, and hey, let's do this and do this. It was driving me insane, and I was like gasping for breath and like tears flying or running, I think is the saying, tears running down my cheeks, face. As I was running to the bathroom, I was like gasping and crying and trying to call my mom and tell her to rescue me from this nightmare. When I got to the bathroom, I started sitting on the floor, very reminiscent of Miss Stephanie K later on in this episode. So I had this brand new dress on, these gorgeous new heels, but I was sitting on the bathroom crying, barely breathing, because I was just so miserable. I honestly forced myself to go to this dance because I thought it would be good for me. It would be a good opportunity for me to kind of get over my anxieties, but that did not happen. That made it worse. So if anyone's listening to this and you have kids, do not force them to do things that will trigger their social anxiety or will make them feel horrible and not want to ever go out with friends ever again because they fear that they're going to cry. So do not force people to do things they do not want to do. So yeah, my mascara was running down my cheeks. Everything was running down my cheeks, it seems, from crying and rubbing my eyes. I just looked like a raccoon crazy person. So that was not very fun. Anyway, back to Degrassi. At Lucy's house, the girls are getting ready to go to the dance, and Steph goes upstairs to change. While that's happening, Heather and Erica start checking out Lucy's parents' alcohol collection. So as Steph comes back downstairs, she serves us some 1980s Madonna girly girl wild child realness. She's got teased up hair, a blue halter top with a silver jacket and some pink jeans. I personally would never wear that outfit because it's a bit too everywhere for me, but she looks good. I like her outfit. Heather and Erica invite Steph to have a drink from the assortment of bottles on the table, which is weird because they're kind of Lucy's parents' bottles, but I guess sure you can invite somebody to somewhere to do something that has nothing to do with you. And we can already see Lucy looking a bit worried. As they're drinking, she says, hey, don't take too much, or hey, make sure you put the bottles exactly where you found them so my parents don't notice. And we can see that Lucy's parents might not be as cool as she says they are if she's worrying that much. I don't think Lucy's parents are gonna let Miss Fernandez kind of take drugs and drink at 13 and then attend a school dance. But no, I think they're cool as in like she can wear a crop top or she can go on a date at this age, but not like, hey, let's get drunk. So yeah, Lucy is kind of hyping up how cool her parents are. And I've definitely have had friends come to school tipsy before, never full on drunk, but definitely a bit giggly. They would put some alcohol in a Gatorade bottle, not a lot, maybe less than a quarter full of the actual Gatorade bottle, and then they would fill the rest of the bottle up with normal Gatorade, obviously. Then they would pass it around on the bus and in the hall in between classes. So by the time we all got to fourth period gym, they were barely able to play kickball. I never partook or any of that business because showing up to school drunk is stupid and it's a pretty easy way to get yourself suspended. I'm just there trying to get my credits, trying to get my educations and go, not act a damn fool in front of the very teachers who will be writing my recommendation letters for college. So, yeah, in front of the teachers, I was always an angel because I am an angel. Thank you very much. Can we just talk about Lucy's outfit real quick? Okay, so Lucy, she gets a call from her parents and then she gets up from the couch. And during this time, you can see the atrocity she has adorned her body with. Um, Lucy, she looks like an orange cheetah print Peter Pan, and she's wearing the ugliest fucking outfit I've ever seen in my life. So there's that. I just hit the mic. I'm sorry to your ears. So she gets a phone call from her mother, who just wants to check in and see how her little darling is doing. Little does Miss Fernandez know, they're Mrs. Fernandez, I'm so sorry. Little does she know that there are 3 other little darlings in her home drunk out of their minds, knocking stuff over because they are barely able to walk. It's embarrassing. It's truly embarrassing watching them walk to school and stumble over themselves. So Lucy has to assert herself as temporary sober mom of the group and has to physically drag these girls into the building before they get hit by a car or something. You even see Steph's dumbass trip up the stairs as she's walking into a school. Girl, how do you trip up? You have to be some special kind of intoxicated. Throughout the events leading up to the dance, or leading up to the girls' arrival to the dance, rather, we see Wheels alone in the middle of the dance floor, looking around for Steph, very much alone in the VIP. Yeah, he's just looking around for Steph, and Miss Ma'am ain't there because she's too busy getting silly with Heather and Erica. And we also have DJ Radich on the beat to kind of lighten things up, which was very funny to me. I want to know what kind of sick tunes he's got lined up for the kiddies today. What they're gonna shake a tail feather to, I guess. And at this dance, we have our very first sighting of Caitlin and Joey interacting with each other. We see them sharing a dance, and when I saw that, my heart exploded out of my little chest. As I'm recording this, I'm still picking up the pieces because this pairing, in my opinion, is the best fucking Degrassi couple ever. Like, sorry for the spoilers if you have not watched this yet, but oh my god, I love them together so much. So when they start having storylines together, you might want to turn your volume down when you listen to this because I'm going to start screaming. But again, Voula, who actually has lines in this episode, is having the time of her life at the dance. We see that she's laughing and having fun. I'm so happy for her. I love Voula. I love her so much. While all this is happening, the girls finally arrive at the dance. Steph stops Wheels and goes up to him. She drunkenly hugs him and calls him a name that I will not be repeating because I am 18, almost 19. She's making quite the intoxicated little scene, and everyone can clearly tell that she's drunk, especially Arthur and Voula. They both look so confused and also very disappointed in her. That's unfortunate. And while Steph is dancing, they have this little annual Degrassi crazy dance. So DJ Radich puts on some sick beats, and all the students have to dance crazy to it. And while that's happening, Steph gets very nauseous and she runs to the bathroom, leaving Wheels alone for the second time tonight. Miss Stephanie must have the mouth muscles of a champion because she manages to hold her puke from the dance floor, up the stairs, through the hallway, into the bathroom doors, into the stall, and into the toilet. This girl must have cheeks of steel. I want to know her workout regimen. So far, this is a horrible day for Wheels and Steph. I mean, I've been stood up before, but not twice in one night. That must be so dramatic, especially for a 13-year-old kid. It wasn't as traumatic for me when I got stood up. I think I was 14 when I got stood up. It was my like very first date, I guess. And I the only reason that I'm not like sad about it is because that day I got stood up is the day that like my boyfriend and I realized that we like each other. So it was kind of like bittersweet, more and more sweet. It's like bitter, sweet, 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 sweet. So bitter, sweet, sweet, sweet. Yes, that because I was like, hey, the guy I was supposed to go out with didn't come to the spot or whatever. You want to hang out instead? Because he and I were friends, and he was like, sure. And then we had this whole little cute date together. It was so nice. I love him. Yes. But yes, very traumatic for Wheels. Trauma for Wheels. I feel so bad for him. And when Steph finally finishes puking, we can see that she looks an absolute mess. Her hair is wild, and that's not just because she teased the fuck out of it. Her mascara is everywhere. She's messy. She is then reminded by either Erica or Heather. They didn't even say each other's names in this episode, so I don't know how I'm supposed to tell them apart. So one of the ladies, they are like, Steph, don't you have to present the check and say a little speech to the foster child association? Steph wants to, but she is way too drunk and sloppy to do it. So she says someone else has to do it. Lucy then gets the bright idea to have Voula present the check since it was her idea and she's at the dance. Unfortunately, it is probably like 9:31 at this point, and Voula has lost track of time. Lucy tries to convince Voula to present the check, but Voula is trying to escape and run home before her father comes. But she is too late. Her father rolls up to the dance and catches Voula in the act. He stares her down with the most disappointing eyes as she delivers her speech and presents the check to the Fosters Association representative. I don't assume this person is the child because he is, in fact, a grown man. And when Voula finishes her speech, her dad looks at her like, girl, you know what you did. You better get your ass off that stage right now. Her father then drags her off the stage, like physically, like pulls her down the stairs. A little unnecessary, but he's mad. We get it. And he starts lecturing her about lying and rebelling against his word. Voula says that the only reason she wanted to attend the dance so bad was because she finally wanted to have an opportunity to be like all the other kids whose parents aren't as strict as Voula's dad. She wanted to have fun for a change. She tries to lighten the situation by saying the dance was for a good cause, but her dad is like, straight up, no, I don't care if this dance was for a good cause. You cannot lie to me. We have to have a relationship of trust between us. You cannot just be out here lying, girl. I don't believe Voula's father is aiming to punish her or keep her locked up for the rest of her life. I think he just wants to keep her safe for as long as he can until he sees that she's responsible enough to go out and have fun when she wants. I know the word 13 has teen in it, but the second everyone hits that age, they want to act all grown, and so did I. But the thing is that 13-year-olds are still children, and they have so much more to experience and learn before they're ready to call themselves adult. My sister's 13, and I mostly think of her as a child still, mostly because she is only like 4'5" tall, but she's still, has a very childish tendency. She's still very whiny. Because she's short, she still uses a car seat, but that's besides the point. She still has very childish tendencies. So you turning 13 from 12 doesn't automatically like make you grow a big mustache and a beard and get a briefcase and now you're an adult. No, that's not the case. So calm down, go learn some things, go experience some things, and then get back to me in 5 years. I am 18, almost 19, and I still feel weird calling myself an adult, even though I am one legally. So my advice for Voula would be to just do what your dad says for now, and then later on in a couple of years, you'll have plenty of time for fun, but you'll also have a much more level head than the other kids with loosey-goosey parents. At the end of the episode, we see Steph still on the floor, being all drunk and messy. Clearly, she is embarrassed by the way she presented herself at the dance and can't even bring herself to face Wheels or Voula to apologize. Well, Steph, and to make matters worse, we don't even get a good freeze frame for this episode. No close-up of Steph, no Voula, nothing. Just an empty-ass hallway. I'm so angry. But you know what? This episode is messy as fuck, and I'm glad these kiddies learned their lessons. Now for the rating. I would give this episode 7 drunken Stephanie K bathroom pukes out of 10. There is just so much more I wanted to see in this episode. A gross skill, I know. But I wish we could have had more of a reaction from Joey, for example, since his best friend went to the dance with the girl he very openly liked. But then he just goes and dances with Caitlin, like, problem solved. I just feel like there could have been more drama there between the three, just for the sake of ending that storyline between Joey and Steph. I also would have liked to see a bigger reaction from Wheels, having gotten stood up twice on the same night. We can see him dancing by himself, looking around, but he never seems too troubled by Steph's absence. It could just be that he's an optimistic guy, but even when Steph leaves him to go throw up, we don't even get a reaction shot from Wheels. We don't even see him again for the rest of the episode after that. So I wonder why Steph asking out Steph was made to be such a big deal in the beginning of the episode if we barely see the consequences of her ruining the date. Okay, I'm done talking about the negatives. Now, I want to talk about a really big positive I saw throughout the episode. Something really cool I noticed is that throughout the episode, you can see the blossoming of the relationship between Shane and Spike, but it all happens in the background. Neither of the characters have any lines throughout the episode, but in the background, you can see them walking around the hall and talking with each other. While Voula's dad was walking up the stairs into the dance, we were able to see that both characters were sitting on the steps, and Shane had his arm around Spike. It was so cute. I love these background characters. No, I love they're not background characters, they're main actors in the show, but I love that they're background characters for now, but they also have their own mini storylines. It reminds me of Grease, the iconic 1978 musical starring Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. I guess the musical that was adapted into a film because it was a, Broadway musical, I believe. I don't know. The film is what everyone knows, so I'm gonna say the film. Yes, it reminds me of Grease. In this Vanity Fair video, I think it came out nearly 2 years ago. The director of the movie, Randall Kleiser, I believe, or Kleiser, was talking about how they had a background choreographer who gave some of the background dancers names and their very own backstories. So in the beginning of the movie, you would see two extras having an argument, while at the end of the movie, they would be kissing and laughing with each other. So small roles like that go beyond the typical role of an extra always interest me, and I'm always watching out for that when I see movies or TVs. I love theorizing and picking out the mini storylines if I can find them and kind of coming up with my own. And with that, this episode of It's Degrassi Hun comes to a conclusion. I'm having a really fun time doing this podcast, and I hope whoever's listening, if there's not anyone listening, that you're enjoying this right alongside me. So, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and leave a comment telling me what you think. I'm always up for some Degrassi chat, so do not hesitate to DM and follow me on all my social medias. I am at It's Degrassi Hun on Twitter and at It's Degrassi Hun Podcast on Instagram. No punctuation needed. Those will be also linked in the description if you don't want to type it out. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time where I'll be recapping season 1, episode 3 of Degrassi Junior High.